Welcome to a new winter season of Borough Talks, the Borough Market podcast. I'm author and food writer Giulia Crouch, and in each episode I'll be sitting down with the traders at London's most iconic market to get to know the stories behind the stalls.
People come to a market for an experience. They come open-eyed and hungry.
As you walk through the market, you are immediately hit by its smells, sounds and sights. Freshly baked bread, towers of cheese.
It's hard as a rock, it doesn't need a fridge, and it's used to season your foods.
Cups of steaming coffee, the shucking of oysters, and hot, sizzling pans. It's a treasure trove of deliciousness. Each trader has a unique story to tell.
So we don't really brew the milk in with it too tough because the fat from the milk will split, and that's how we make a really, really good chai.
So much of the joy of food, particularly at this time of year, is sharing it with other people, and that's what Borough Market is all about. We'll be taking you with us as we discover the passion, expertise and characters that make Borough Market so unique, as we share good food and drink with the people who live and breathe it every day.
Cheers, guys.
This is Borough Talks.
So I'm so pleased to be joined today by Raf Rundell from Haward Oysters and Jack Applebee from Applebee's Fish, both in Borough Market, of course. It's my pleasure to welcome you both to the podcast, and we're going to talk about fish for Christmas and seafood for like the festive season. When I think of Christmas, the first foods I kind of think of are like turkey, roast potatoes, all of that kind of stuff. But seafood can be amazing for Christmas time. What role does it play in both of your Christmases at home?
We've always had a bit of a tradition. I think where we were fishmongers previously, we'd pile up on stock for Christmas, and then in the end you might be left with a few bits. So there was a few bits always left over Christmas Day. In particular, king crab was always a special thing for us at Christmas.
Oh, that's nice.
So it's a real luxury king crab, and I remember one year we got stuck with loads of it, and it was sort of, oh no, but it was kind of class at the same time. So we was just having like king crab on toast for breakfast.
Oh, that's a good breakfast.
It was a fantastic breakfast.
A Christmas
on Christmas Day
breakfast.
Christmas Day breakfast,
Yeah,
king
love
crab,
that.
heavily buttered, a little bit of
Oof.
mayo on toast. Yeah, it was a really, really nice way to start the Christmas Day.
That's fantastic.
But in general, I think where we're around fish, we'll have something there, but we try and go to the meat on Christmas. We do. Our family, friends, and when we do things with family, they always want us to bring fish. So we'll always bring over like bundles and bundles of prawns, or we've brought over bundles of oysters before. Yeah, it's a lot of the luxury fish we tend to use at Christmas.
I feel like that's a nice celebratory like way to eat fish at Christmas, isn't it? Some people have it on Christmas Eve. Do you have it on Christmas Eve, Ralph?
We actually last year we had we poached a whole salmon.
Oh, that's lovely.
Not really bothered about turkey, honestly.
Really?
Neither is the rest of my family. Christmas morning we'll have some oysters, some clams. But yeah, it's
So
like
seafood is quite a big part of your Christmas.
and someone to make a graved lax. My mum always used to make a graved lax that would be around. But yeah, I'm not bothered about a turkey. So we poach a whole salmon in a kettle, and then you can have it cold with potatoes and mayonnaise and whatever the days after.
And I feel like oysters are such a great thing to have at Christmas because they feel quite decadent, quite celebratory, quite festive.
Celebratory is definitely the word, yeah. I mean, we find that round the corner that people are in a pretty good mood when they come to our stall because either they're on holiday or they're skiving off to have oysters and wine at lunchtime or it's someone's birthday or it's something like that. They feel like a treat, so they are good at Christmas time and they make you feel good.
Yeah, they do.
A glass of wine and half a dozen oysters at,
Delicious.
Nice day.
Late in the morning.
Yeah.
Once you've opened your presents, it's a good way to start.
So do you think it's something to do with how tactile seafood can be to eat? Like there's a bit of theatre to oysters, shucking oysters, or to peeling prawns. You kind of get involved with the food a bit more than you do with other things. Do you think that's why it feels so fun?
I think you work for your food a little bit with it sometimes, yeah. And when you're just sitting there scoffing your face of things that are like ready to go, people can get a bit quiet, especially at our dinner table. I mean, there's like 4 guys and my mum, and we're just like sitting there and like piling the food in. But if you're sort of doing that, you're talking, you're opening oysters, you're peeling prawns, you're cracking some crab. It's a bit more fun. It is. It's more theatre.
It's maybe less abstract than a cut of meat.
So where can people buy good seafood and good fish? Because I feel like the supermarkets just don't do a good enough job at this. There aren't really fish counters anymore. I don't know where to go to buy really good produce.
Right here is pretty great. Furness, I think, are fantastic. I live in South London. There's a few fishmongers called Moxons around South London. There's one in Wimbledon, I think, one in Dulwich. You have to search it out. I mean, a trip to Billingsgate is always brilliant fun. That's a thing that everybody should do at some point. Go at 4 a.m. to Billingsgate.
Oh yeah, that's so cool.
I mean, if you can be bothered to get up that early, it's fun. It's really good, and you can go and they have this tea stand where you get a bacon roll with scallops in it, which is a
That
massive
sounds
treat.
delicious.
I mean, it's like pretty basic. You know, it's a cup of tea and a
Yeah.
polystyrene cup and a bacon roll, but they've got the extra treat of a few scallops.
It is old school East End.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant in there. For Christmas, it's definitely a good.
And
good
also,
thing
I
to
think
do.
you can chat to the fishmonger and you can get what you
Absolutely,
want, because
definitely.
I think a lot of people are actually quite intimidated by buying fish and cooking fish. They don't really know what they're doing, because despite the fact that we're an island nation, I don't feel like we eat much fish or cook much fish at home. So do you think it would be more helpful if we kind of had more fishmongers and they were more used?
Definitely. I think people are scared a bit of the unknown, and I think we don't cook with fish as much at home as we do other produce. You're scared about the touching of a fish. Sometimes you can be scared about the smells of fish. But if you actually get really great fish, one, it won't smell. And two, the touching side of it, you can really ask a fishmonger to prepare it for you. I mean, you can get a fish prepared in multiple ways, and any good fishmonger will fillet it for you, they'll butterfly it for you, they'll clean it for you, and they will advise you how to cook it. They'll give you these tips. I think it can also be a bit scary when you see a whole fish and you see the weight and the price of the whole fish, but you see it per kilo and you're like, oh, what is a kilo, you know? How much do I actually get out of a kilo of that fish? But most fish, you're looking probably about half. So like if you buy a kilo fish, you're going to get about 500 grams of fillet weight, for example.
That's so interesting. I didn't
It's
know that.
approximately, it does vary,
Yeah.
but half is probably a good rule of thumb to go on. So 800 gram fish will feed 2 people. That's going to give you a 200 gram fillet each, which is sort of a nice portion. Like a lot of restaurants will give you 160 to 180 on that. We always try to actually give about 180 200, and I think people are a bit scared of that and going and buying a whole fish.
Would you recommend people buy a whole fish?
Yeah, it's fun, you know, it's a challenge, and you can educate yourself a little bit on how you can prepare it, but it's something to do at home that you might not always do, and you can get so much more off the fish doing that. But there's been a whole revelation recently about trying to use the whole fish. There's been a huge movement in this sort of ideology, which I think is great, and trying to find uses of some of the less prime parts of a fish, for example.
Like what bits?
There's 2 sort of ways of doing it. There's the sort of more gruesome way, which has sort of been pioneered by there's an Australian chef called Josh Nyland, and he sort of has really pioneered using sort of fish guts and things like that, which is sort of the things that we typically would throw away. But actually,
No, it's good to
like
not waste it.
Livers, right?
Yeah, fish
livers are a
livers.
thing.
Oh, really? Are they a thing?
Monkfish livers are a thing,
yeah,
aren't
and
they?
sort of some of the intestines
Wow.
that we will use from meat, and taking that butcher's approach to a fish.
It makes sense.
I think that can be quite that's even more scary for some people. But
For the home cook,
I
yeah,
think
probably.
we're quite at the front edge of that at the moment. That's a sort of, it's fairly recent, the last sort of 5 or 10 years, where people have been dry aging fish as well in a similar way to what you do with meat. Some of it looks amazing, like some dry aged tuna.
I think I've seen some actually.
It looks beautiful.
Yeah.
It goes against the idea of having like really fresh fish, because it's like that. I could go on for it for ages, but the idea is not to let water touch the fish, and it allows the fish to preserve for longer. But there's quite a bit of science, I believe, sort of goes into it in the end.
What does it result in?
It results in
Like flavour-wise?
It's sort of much richer.
Have you guys noticed any other kind of trends within fish of this past year? Is there anything that people are like really liking, or?
At the moment, I'm noticing that for me, is that whole fish is really the trend that I see with seafood. But the more diversified we can eat, rather than sort of sticking to our salmons, our tunas, our sea bass, we can, 1, get better value for money, and 2, we can protect the other species, because we're not having to sort of, everyone's choosing, let's have cod. And it was, I don't know how long ago, it was maybe 15 years ago, people started having haddock for their fish and chips instead of cod.
Or huss,
yeah.
or ling, isn't it?
Yeah,
Those are the other 2
yeah,
white
yeah.
fish that are
and so
cheaper.
Exactly that, and they're similar fish. They might not sound as good as the cod thing, and it's part of it that, but in reality, like, your general consumer might really struggle to tell the difference between this and that.
Do you think people will start branching out a bit more with their choices?
And I think having a knowledgeable, helpful fishmonger is kind of key to all of that.
Yeah.
Because there is a reticence to, in the way that people would know what to do with a pork chop or a sausage. It's sort of like, it's a bit harder to. But yeah, if you go and see your fishmonger, the one that I went to see recently, I was after a bit of cod, but he had none. He gave me the cheeks, and those were actually complete revelation. They were brilliant.
Oh, they're amazing.
And they're
Cod
cheap.
Cod cheeks are incredible.
Cheap, like half the price of the fillet.
Yeah.
You know, that was a thing that I wouldn't have clocked unless I'd been turned onto it by the fishmonger.
100%.
It's a part of the fish that people aren't necessarily using. So we go on to the subprime bit, that is it. And they're fantastic, and they're a bit different to your cod. And monkfish cheeks are amazing as well. You get them and they're fantastic.
They're good for curries or stir fries or whatever. You just chuck them in at the end and they hold their shape.
They're brilliant. And that actually probably, seafood like that can actually help a consumer because they don't have to touch them.
It's a strange cultural thing that though, isn't it? That we have, that we're kind of afraid of this food that we're about to eat.
It is really strange.
You know what I mean?
It
It's
is
like, I
strange.
can't touch it, but I will put it in my mouth.
Yeah, and I don't want it to smell fishy, but I will eat it.
I struggle with all that.
I
is
get it
odd.
with chicken though. I think even for me, like the idea of marinating chicken, I hate it. Like I do it, and you get in there and it's like, oh, but it just feels a bit weird. I mean, during COVID, we were selling fish as well, and we were trying to do it all like ready prepped. So we were doing the sort of mise en place what we'd have in the restaurant, and having skewers done, having tuna cut in portion, and pricing things based upon what a consumer can understand.
Yeah.
So we've explored that bit, and we had some great feedback on it, and we were selling sauces with it, and it's something we want to do in the future as well.
I think that's a really nice way to do it. I think that would encourage a lot of people to eat more fish, because I think people just don't know how to prep it. I don't know how to prep it, really. And I know about food.
It's
so-
making it accessible. It is a bit
Yeah.
more, it can be a bit daunting. And I think we need to try and educate people as much as we can about how to prepare fish yourself, how to cook fish. And people are scared of it, but actually it's just as easy as cooking a piece of chicken.
I think people worry about overcooking it, don't they? That can be the thing that goes wrong quite easily with fish. How do you make sure you don't overcook it?
I think if you're buying great fish, you haven't really got to worry about undercooking it so much. Typically, you want to leave it on the edge. So, I mean, Google's your friend. You know,
Yeah.
you can just say like, how long to cook this piece of fish for, and it will tell you something like that. And you can either use thermometers as one thing, or you can just like you do chicken. You cut into it. Is it translucent? Is it pink? It's the same thing. And if it is a little bit and you want a bit more, you can cook it for a bit more.
So we've got a beautiful looking dish in front of us. Jack, talk us through what you've got.
So it's wild sea bass, which has been rod and line caught from Cornwall. It came up this morning actually, so our fishmonger was like, we need to give you this to try.
Your stuff is super fresh, isn't it? Isn't it on your plates within like 48 hours of being caught normally?
Well, we try to, yeah, where
That's
we can,
amazing.
we do. It's not always easy, and we're like going on a big journey to try and make it even more so now.
Yeah.
When you're just a fish-only restaurant, I think that we need to try and make sure that our fish is great, you know.
That's paramount, isn't it? Being super fresh. And you can taste it when fish is really fresh. When it's a bit old, it's just not satisfying.
Yeah, the texture really.
Yeah.
You want something that's sort of firm. I think it's down to the rigor mortis. It's in a sort of quite brutal way, but like when it's been
You're really making it sound tasty.
yeah, when something's dead straight away, it firms up.
It's interesting.
But yeah, I mean, give it a try.
So what else is with it? Tell me.
So we've got a lobster bisque. We've got some rope-grown St Austell mussels, they always call them, but actually they're from Foy, because St Austell's sort of inland a little bit. I don't know why all the fishmongers always say from there, I don't know. Some rope-grown mussels, a lobster bisque and a potato rosti.
It looks beautiful. That's just perfectly cooked fish. So good. So what's the difference between wild sea bass and non-wild sea bass? Is there a difference in like texture or taste?
Wild or farmed?
Yeah.
It can be quite subtle at times. You can get it's about the firmness really. It is, and you can get the thicker bits from a nice wild sea bass where you're going to have that sort of more density, and it's sort of it flakes, but it's just a bit it's not as soft and squishy.
Is wild like generally better?
I think you just get all the natural nutrients. It feeds a proper life, you know. I think that's how we're supposed to eat. When you go farmed in general, some farms can be really good, and if we do go farm, we try to get from great farms, but it's much more commercial. So it's sort of, what can we feed them for the cheapest price to make them grow the biggest, the quickest, and it's sort of a bit more processed really. Whereas wild, it's, you know, this is how the fish lives.
How it's supposed to be.
How it is supposed to be.
It makes sense that would also like taste better.
Yeah, and wild sea bass is particularly precious because there's 2 months a year where they have a ban, because it's one of the sort of most known fish, sea bass. Everyone knows sea bass. So
It's always on menus, isn't it? People love sea bass. I love sea
Yeah.
bass. It's got a good flavour.
And so they've sort of restricted it. So a couple months a year there's a fishing ban, which I think is great.
Yeah, to preserve.
100%, yeah, because we need to make sure that the fish we have now really is still available 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years down the line.
Is this something you think quite a lot about in the restaurant?
Yeah, and it's getting a balance between what our guests want
Yeah.
and what is the best produce and what is also affordable at times as well. And combining all three can be quite tough.
Yeah.
It is, and you have to make decisions. And we try to always lead with like the highest quality decision. That's our sort of our core.
So you brought some oysters for us to try, Raf. I'm very excited.
Yeah.
They look gorgeous.
They look
Tell
alright,
me where
don't
they
they?
come from.
So these are Richard Howard's West Mersey rock oysters. The native oysters are just back in season, but I don't think we're getting any till the end of the week.
When's the season for oysters?
Supposedly September to April.
Okay. Is it something to do with the cool water?
It's to do with the cool water, it's to do with the spawning.
Right.
It's to do with the same way as we were talking about the sea bass. It's to do with leaving. The natives are more prone to kind of outside factors, changes in temperature, bacteria in the water, so on and so on. But we had them for longer this year, so we had them until the end of May. So consequently, they're only just coming back in at the end of October. I think seasons seem to just be shifting a month back. So we had that very warm September just now, and a cold April, May, didn't we? So I think that's affecting the oysters coming in later. So anyway, these are small West Mersey rocks. They're grown wild, Mersey Island. Tom Howard, who I'm sitting in for today, he had some emergency on the farm there. They've been farming oysters West Mersey since 1769.
I read this. 300 years.
Yeah,
That's astounding.
A little while. Yeah. So Tom.
A little while.
So Richard, whose name is above the door of the stall around the corner, we lost him almost exactly a year ago. His son Tom has taken over the business, or has been over the last 4 or 5 years, but he's in charge now. So he's 8th generation
That's amazing.
oysterman from Mersey
What
Island.
a family history.
I know,
How
it's
cool.
mad, isn't it? And I think they've been bringing them to London almost as long.
Yeah.
People have been eating oysters around this bit of the world for a really, really long time.
Oysters are quite a big deal to London, aren't they?
I think so. I think London was grown on oysters and mussels, really. Until they were sort of overfished, oysters and mussels were what fed
Everyone.
working London. Exactly, everybody.
And what are the flavour of this type, would you say?
This is a rock oyster. So rock oysters were introduced to British waters in the 60s. They're a bit like the sort of grey squirrel of the oyster world in terms of that, because they just grow really, really well everywhere. But like the grapes for wine, obviously there's a species, but they take on the taste of wherever they grow, like the terroir, basically.
Yeah.
These are grown in incredibly salty water, so it's estuarine waters around a tidal island called Mersey, which is about 10 miles from Colchester. We have 14 acres of oyster beds, and they're in the estuarine channels. Oysters grow by filtering the water, and they get their nutrients from phytoplankton and various other things that I don't know the name of. But as they're down there filtering the water, they take on a bit of what's around. They're very salty, some of the saltiest oysters I think you can get. So the difference between a rock oyster and a native oyster, I gave a rock and a native to one of my friends who was a bit drunk the other day, and he was quite poetic about it. He said that a rock oyster is like jumping in the ocean, and a native oyster is more like playing in a rock pool at the English seaside.
Oh,
So
what a good way to describe
the
it.
native oyster is more mellow, more fragrant, slightly firmer texture, and a bit more sort of brackish.
Right.
So you sort of taste the estuarine water, a bit of the sort of mud, essentially. I know that's not necessarily an appealing word to use.
No, I understand.
Earthiness.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah. So
I'm
this
gonna
is
knock one of these
brighter,
back.
fresher.
Exactly, yeah.
More kind of in your face, more like that true oyster experience that people think of.
Exactly, like jumping in and having
Okay,
a
let's give
mouthful
them
of
a go.
the
So
wild
do
ocean.
you have it with a bit of lemon?
I just go a bit of lemon.
Gonna take this one.
I give them 1 or 2 chews on the way past.
Do you?
Yeah, some people just chuck them straight down like a shot.
I like to chew a bit as well, but I didn't know whether that was like the correct thing to do.
I think that is a good thing to do. But these are the small oysters we sell. A lot of the we have some oysters that grow because they grow wild. They're dredged rather than hung on chains or in bags like they do in France or Jersey or wherever else.
Yeah.
And so sometimes they're down there for years and years. So we get these huge. We pulled one out that was 2.5 kilos in the summer.
Really?
Yeah. It's absolutely mad, and it was a slow news week, so it made the papers. It was in the Mirror.
I
and
bet it
whatever.
did.
Tom was smart. He took a picture of his cute daughter holding this enormous oyster that was kind of half her size, basically.
What did you do with it?
Well, we sell them. We have a lot of our customers are from China, Hong Kong, Japan, and they have a taste for much, much bigger oysters. In Europe and America, little oysters like these that you just knock back.
I didn't know you could get them much bigger. I thought this was the normal size.
You should come round and see. I mean, the biggest one's about 30 centimetres long.
How do you eat them? Chop them up?
Well, I mean, we just give people cocktail sticks and a bit of lemon, and there's always someone else to serve an oyster to, so I've never actually really watched how people tackle them. Though one of the boys has had to hop out from behind the jump and do the Heimlich manoeuvre a few times. Well, twice he's had to do that because people have taken on an oyster that's too big and not chewed it enough.
Well, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, but they're the size of a dinner plate, some of these big ones. So it's a very different... But the bigger the oysters get, the more salt they take on.
All right.
So the big ones are meaty and very briny.
I just want to say these are absolutely phenomenal.
Oh, I'm pleased you like them.
These are so delicious.
Yeah,
that's one of the best oysters I've had in ages.
Oh, that's good. The flavour's quite complex, I think.
Do you know, the first time I had an oyster, I was in France when I was a kid.
Yeah.
My dad was having them and I was like, oh, I want to try. And I didn't know, like, it kind of got like halfway into my throat and I didn't know whether to spit it back out or to just continue with it. I was so confused as a child with what to do with this weird thing. But I remember it just being so much like the sea.
Yeah.
These feel different. Like there's a complexity there. Like there's different flavours in there. I want to eat another one. They're so good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go for another. Are you quite a purist in how you have them, or do you ever like to dress them with different things, have different condiments and stuff?
We have two basic dressings that we leave on the front of the counter for people. One of them we got there, which is a classic mignonette. It's just shallots and red wine vinegar, which is the sort of way that French folks have it. And then we have a slightly more exotic one, which is white wine vinegar with shallots and then a bit of mint and coriander and a small bit of chili, which is nice. It's fresh, it's a bit like chimichurri.
That sounds like a nice combo. Although they're so tasty,
good.
I don't think you need much.
No, a bit of sweetness, a bit of crunch from the shallots is nice. Personally, a squeeze of lemon, maybe a bit of Tabasco. We have clams as well around there, cherry stone clams, which they're a byproduct of the oysters, so sometimes they come up in the dredge. But they're the same clams that they make chowder with on the east coast of America.
Yeah.
But we serve them raw on the half shell as well. Those are good with
really?
a bit more to chew. It's like a really posh cockle is how I would describe it.
They sound nice.
A bit more to chew, yeah. They can be quite buttery, quite sweet.
Oh, lovely.
So those are also worth a try.
I've never had clams like that. They sound
yeah,
great.
they're really good, yeah.
What do you think would be a nice fish for Christmas Day if someone wanted to do one?
I think turbot.
Turbot, yeah.
Turbot, and again, it's one of the more known fish, but I don't think it's necessarily. Restaurants use it, people don't really use it at home.
Yeah, I always get it if it's on a menu and I'm out because it's just got that meaty,
it's fantastic,
savoury quality to it. It's so tasty.
It's the king of the sea.
Chefs love it, don't they?
Yeah, it's a great fish to work with. I mean, it probably helps. It doesn't have any scales as well, so probably chefs might prefer that. It's just a tiny bit easier at times, but the most simplest way is to get something filleted by your fishmonger. You could even ask your fishmonger to do it in a tranche for you. So it'll basically come out in a steak with the bone in the middle.
Oh,
so imagine like a bone-in steak.
Yeah.
And it's big bones. So they're not little bones where you're going to be like fiddling so much. Yeah, it's like a big bone in the middle that you can sort of work it off. It's really quite easy to work with.
Yeah.
I love capers, so capers is always my thing. But
I love capers
fish,
too.
I think fish should always be swimming in butter. So heavily buttered, heavily capered, heavily lemoned, and it's as simple as that.
That sounds great for Christmas Day. What would you have with that?
Well, I have to have roast potatoes on Christmas Day. I think that's a must.
That's the thing. You don't want to miss out on some of the trimmings.
And at least with the fish, you might take another 20 minutes to fall asleep rather than sort of falling asleep straight away after eating the turkey and going down. Might be a bit easier to get up and do some of the cleaning up rather than going straight to the sofa.
Do you know what? It sounds really nice. Maybe I'll convince my mum to have an alternative Christmas and do turbot instead. How about having oysters at home? How easy are they to prepare at home, serve at home? I've never done it.
Pretty straightforward.
Really?
I mean, it's worth having a proper knife.
Yeah.
It's a knack rather than a skill, really. There's a load of ways you can dress an oyster. You can do it the Spanish way, where there's a very fine slice of chorizo grilled, and you have it like that with the liquor of the oyster. Same way as all of this stuff, it's not a thing that anyone should be afraid of to take home and have a go.
And can you order them online?
Yeah, you can buy them online from Richard.
Nationwide, so anyone can get them?
I believe so.
That's so
cool. Yeah, I don't know whether we deliver to the furthest reaches of the UK, but it's one of those things, you put your postcode in and they'll soon tell you, or just come here to the market. We sell oysters to take away as well. So and the knives and all the rest, yeah.
How quickly do you need to eat them once you've bought them?
With all seafood, the sooner you eat it, the better. But oysters will keep in the fridge for a week,
Will they?
Yeah, I mean, when people take away oysters, I always say that the sooner the better, but if you buy a dozen oysters, after a week maybe, the number that you don't want to eat is maybe it's rising daily. But an oyster will stay fresh in the fridge for at least a week, yeah.
How did you first become interested in oysters, and how did you start working for Richard?
I did some of my growing up in Canterbury near Whitstable, and my Saturday job as a teenager was shucking oysters in Whitstable.
Oh wow, so you've been doing it forever.
Done a load of other stuff, and then I started working there a day a week about 3 years ago because I needed a change of scene. And I remember actually the first day I was there, and I was back on the knife, and a tune came on the radio, and I was like, last time I was doing this tune was new in the mid-90s. But luckily I'd done a few other things in between time. But yeah, so I've come back to it basically just through standing there having oysters and wine myself, and they had a sign up saying we need people, so I just rang the number and started a day a week, and then it's just sort of escalated, and now I manage the stall.
And is it nice to be part of a business that's like historic?
Absolutely. The sort of, how do you put it, like the psychic resonance or something of being in that spot selling oysters to people. That's what people have been doing for hundreds and hundreds of years just there. But yeah, the market has a beat, and I think that's something that's quite healthy. Working outside, all of that stuff is good, and my other job is making music and being a DJ, so the rest of it is kind of indoors, and a lot of the time there's no straight answers, so it was very nice just to come a day a week and there's a queue of people and you give them the oysters and they give you the cash, and then you close up and have a couple of beers with the boys, and that's it.
Yeah,
it's
making people happy.
Very different to the rest of my life, really. So that's good. I'm happy about it.
And Jack, for you, you've like grown up in your family business
and in the market pretty much. Yeah, we've been here since tail end of 1999. Yeah, I was 6 at the time.
So this is like all you've ever known.
I'm very biased about how much I love Borough Market in the area. Yeah, I am. I live around the corner, 2 minutes around the corner from there. It's amazing. Borough Market is fantastic. It's grown so much in this time as well, and there's not a better place to really, if you want to go out and have some drinks and have some food, there's not a better place in London, in my opinion. It's high quality but not pretentious, and the whole ethos of the market really is about quality food, and you're just surrounded by foodies, people who love what they do, they love their produce.
And in terms of working in a family business, what's that like?
That's tough, yeah. But it has its ups and downs. The ups are that you have a group of people that you can really trust, and we've sort of tried to create that atmosphere through the full team as well. But the downs are on Christmas Day I'll be talking about work, like we'll be sitting there, me and my mum, and if we're talking about anything, it's talking about business. There's pros and cons, and I don't know, when you have a business it becomes part of your life anyway, so the fact that it's integrated in a family thing, it's sort of, I'm just so used to that.
And in terms of, both businesses like being in the family for so long, does wisdom get passed down? Like, do you learn stuff from like older generations about the oyster business or about your fish restaurant? Is that something you notice?
There is definitely some wisdom, and we learn from some mistakes. I'm quite lucky that I've learned from a few mistakes that have been done in the past as well, but also some of the successes. And you can, I think you take on any knowledge you can get. To be honest, I think that there's also an argument where sometimes something didn't work once doesn't mean it won't work now. But yeah, no, definitely have learned a lot from my whole parents' journey. To be honest with you, I mean, but just growing up as a kid and like being exploring all the highs and lows of business and sort of being on the front line of that. And I've always been quite inquisitive growing up like that, and I've sort of thought I knew it all, so I was like trying to get involved like really young. Looking back at it, it's been crazy how much I have learned from that being passed down. Yeah.
Raf, how about for you? How much do you think the business has evolved?
Well, I can't speak too much really about the family side of things, because the family in Mersey, the company shed there by the harbour, which is right in front of where the oysters get purified, which is just round the bay from where the oysters are farmed. I mean, Tom is incredibly knowledgeable. I think it must have, like Jack, growing up in the midst of the business, there's a certain amount that you just take on, that becomes innate, and I think they have an incredible feel for the shoreline and the sort of welfare of the island, Mersey Island as a whole, and the oyster business. I think Richard was a great advocate for the oyster business across the UK and in touch with people all over. There's comfort in a family business in terms of, like Jack says, you feel like the money's going somewhere proper and that it's probably being reinvested in the right ways. Any family has its own ways of operating and getting along, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And I think, you know, when you throw a business in the mix of all that, it has its good and bad points.
Well, look, thank you guys for coming on the podcast. It's been so nice to speak to you both and such like fascinating topics. It's definitely inspired me to like include more fish in my festive menu. So I'm going to bring my mum and see what she thinks about that. But thank you so much. It's been
No
great.
problem, thanks.
Thank you.
A huge thanks to Jack from Applebee's and Raf from Richard Howard's Oysters, who represent just some of the wonderful fish and seafood experts here at Borough Market.
Cheers, guys.
Borough Talks was hosted by me, Giulia Crouch, produced and edited by James Deacon, editing and sound design by Chris Attaway, and a special thanks to Nina and Bethan at Borough Market, the team at Beedale's Wine Bar for hosting us, and everyone who spoke to us and fed us.
Thank you so much, yeah?
I really hope you've enjoyed this episode of Borough Talks. Make sure you followed the podcast so you don't miss an episode, and we'll see you next time.